Rankings. They're out for week 7. And after the wins and losses, this is how it all shakes out, as you can see. Broncos are number 1, Chargers 2. The Cowboys move up a few spots to 3 after the Seattle win. And the Seahawks round out the top 5. Broncos were 2 last week. Stephen A., they're 1 now. Tell me, what do you think of the rankings?
Well, believe it or not, Skip Bayless, the Broncos being at number 1, I don't have a problem with. I have a problem with who's at number 2.
Oh.
It's the Chargers, and I think it should be the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
I think the Dallas Cowboys should be the number 1, the number 2 ranked team in the power rankings. I think when you consider the way they're running the football, how the ball control and what it's led to them doing, winning 5 straight, having the number 1 rushing attack in the game, number 1 in attempts as well, DeMarco Murray being a bona fide league MVP candidate at this particular moment in time, particularly fresh off of what Seattle was, the Dallas Cowboys defense was able to do against Russell Wilson in Seattle. I think when you look at it and you look at the way San Diego struggled to beat Oakland, along with them being a bit depleted because of the services or the absence of the services of Ryan Matthews, I think right now it's not just about the Dallas Cowboys having won 5 straight. It's that the brand of football that they're playing shows they can win anywhere. And I think because of that, I think you have to put them above everybody right now but the Denver Broncos.
And why Denver over Dallas?
Well, I feel Denver's over Dallas because their offense is high-powered. They're led by the great Peyton Manning, and you can trust them to do what they do on a week-to-week basis more than you can trust Dallas. People are still waiting for that accident to happen when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, are they?
Meaning getting in their
Maybe
own...
you are, but I'm not.
You're not.
Getting in their own way. Getting in
Okay.
their own way as it pertains
Okay,
to...
but are these projection rankings, or are they what we've seen to date? Right?
Well, I think
To date.
I think
Right.
to me, it's what I've seen to date as well.
Okay, what do your eyes tell you? Eye test tells me Dallas is playing at a slightly higher level than Denver is playing at.
Okay. You can
You
say
disagree?
That. I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree.
I'll tell you why.
I think they did last weekend. I don't
Okay.
think overall over
All
the
right.
last 5 weeks that's been...
Okay, here's what I have seen to date.
Okay.
I have seen the Dallas Cowboys earn the right to be number 1 just this week in the power rankings. Now, I'm not saying that's going to continue because I'm going to stand by what I predicted. I said they were going to go 10-6 and win the NFC East. So I'm not predicting that they're going to go 15-1. You know, that would be projecting these out. Yeah. But here today, from what I've seen so far, I say this team has earned the right to be slightly ahead of the Denver Broncos, who I think should at least be tied for second by the San Diego Chargers. I think that's a coin flip for the second place in the power rankings. And here's what I think about Dallas. I'll be the first to admit, I was surprised that they won at Seattle, but I was shocked at how they won at Seattle. And the how...
We agree there.
Okay, the how is what was more impressive to me. Because you tell me, I wish I could have been in your shoes or next to you on your couch when the Dallas Cowboys got a punt blocked and returned for a touchdown that put them down 10-0
I was laughing.
in that outdoor asylum up in Seattle. What were you thinking? It's over, right?
Let me answer that question.
10-0.
Let me answer that question just for your edification.
Thank you.
I wasn't on my couch.
Okay.
I was on Carmen's couch. My
Fair
sister,
enough.
who was in the kitchen literally making lasagna for me.
Okay, good.
All right, and I was sitting there languishing, chilling on the couch, laughing
I'm sure
at the
you were.
Dallas Cowboys, thinking that they were about to get blown out.
Okay, so they hand Seattle that 7. Then they fumble a punt and hand them another 7 points.
Yeah.
Then Romo botches a snap. We've seen that before.
Yes.
Going back to 2006. And hand them another 3 points. That's 17 gift points they give Seattle in their backyard.
And still won.
And they win 30-23.
Yes.
That's as impressive a win as we've seen all year in the National Football League. That eclipses the moral victory that Peyton and company pulled off after the debacle that was their Super Bowl when they lost in overtime at Seattle. And I throw on top of this from Dallas. Remember, they righted the wrong that was at New Orleans last year on a Sunday night by leading this year on Sunday night, New Orleans 24-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
At halftime, they're ahead of the Saints 24-0
Well, let's not
on
count
Sunday
the
night.
Saints. They're the Aints right now.
Okay, but still, that's impressive to me because that was the team that rang up an NFL record 40 first downs on you
them.
just last year.
Yeah.
So those 2 games just by themselves are a little more impressive than anything that Peyton has pulled off so far.
First of all, you and I agree with you.
Okay.
I get where you're coming from about the victory over Seattle. I disagree with you about the New Orleans
24
game.
to nothing?
Again, I think what we learned about New Orleans is that, in our eyes, to some degree, they were fraudulent. I'm not talking about complete frauds because we know they could play, and you got Drew Brees. Absence at Darren Sproles, they're not the same offensive team. But defensively, Rob Ryan, talk about falling off of his pedestal. He may be very well having one of the worst years you could possibly imagine, because not only is his defense not that impressive, but it's on the heels of him being let go by the Dallas Cowboys, and now ultimately Rod Marinelli doing the job that he's doing with that defense in Dallas right now. Even though Rob Ryan could make the argument, if Dallas had run the ball as effectively when I was there, I would have looked that great defensively as well. But here's the point. When you look at the Denver Broncos, they have one overtime loss this year to Seattle. Outside of that, victories over Indy, Kansas City, and Arizona before beating the Jets last week.
At home.
To me, I would find that to be more impressive than Dallas's victory over New Orleans, than their struggle against St. Louis, than, you know, that kind of stuff. That's what I look at. So I'm saying to you, even though I go week to week with this like everybody else, and I will acknowledge that last week, Dallas was clearly the most impressive victory. There is no denying that as we look at power rankings right now, Denver, by and large, over the first week, 6 weeks of the season, they've been more impressive in terms of who they've beaten. The difference is the expectations for the Dallas Cowboys were so low, the shock value that comes with that. Like, wow, where did this come from?
Okay. Who is ranked #1 in rushing in the National Football League? The Dallas Cowboys. Ranked 26th currently are the Denver Broncos.
You can't go by that, though.
Okay, but I'm just saying, if I'm doing eye test, I'm going to give a slight edge, if we're just doing it today, to the team that can run the football like crazy versus the team that is struggling to run it much at all. I'm going to give you a little edge, Dallas Cowboys, because you're #1 in rushing. Don't you like the way they're doing it by running the ball?
I do like the fact that they're doing it by running the football, but at the same time, Skip, I'd be more impressed if they were doing it passing, because I would tell you that's something that would have really shocked the bejesus out of all of us, simply because it's Tony Romo and you're waiting for that to go down. In the case of the Denver Broncos, they've got the #3 overall offensive attack in all of the NFL. They have the #4 passing attack, okay? And you got to remember, they lost no Sean Moreno. They've got Monty Ball. Monty Ball goes down. They've got Hillman. You know you're going to pass the football or what have you. Wes Welker had missed the first couple of games. Yet and still, they go out and they still look like a high-powered offense. And all I'm saying to you is that I look at the Denver Broncos, and I think in terms of quality of competition, if I have to take into consideration both, you know, with one loss on the season, I do believe they deserve a slight edge over Dallas, but only a slight edge. But that's only because of how Dallas won last week.
Okay, I'm going to make a quick case for the San Diego Chargers. And I said before the year they were going to be my break.
They're top 3. Okay? They're #3 on my list.
Just remember, on opening Monday Night Football on the late game, they led 17-6 at Arizona going into the fourth quarter. They did blow it, as we've seen them blow it before, and they ended up losing 18-17. But after that, they beat Seattle, and now they've won 5 straight games. That's pretty good. They also beat Seattle, albeit in the 118-degree temperature or whatever it was.
They're incredibly impressive, and what we have to pay attention to with the San Diego Chargers, they're the #2 ranked defense in the NFL. These boys are playing some defense. Give them credit where credit is due.
And that boy, that quarterback.
And Phillip Rivers is the leading MVP candidate as far as I'm concerned. What is he completing? Like nearly 69.2% of his passes? 70%. I can't say enough. The bottom line is very, very simple. San Diego is a team to be reckoned with. McCoy is doing a fabulous job, but San Diego is setting everybody up for a huge disappointment unless Ryan Matthews comes back healthy and can run the football effectively against them. Because no matter what I'm seeing from Phillip Rivers, with Keenan Allen, with Antonio Gates and the crew, you can't convince me that San Diego is going to make any noise come postseason if they can't run the football. It's not happening.
All right, week 7, Cowboys are 3rd again on the power rankings. It's pretty interesting because when the season started, there were the chances for them to win the Super Bowl, 75-1. Now they're 12-1. That's crazy. They really are going by the eye test. They like the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, you have to like the Dallas Cowboys, Kerry. You win in the National Football League when you run the football effectively.
And they're doing it the best.
Season especially. You got to be able to.
We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it looks good for our
But you
boys.
can play anywhere. That's what's interesting about the
Good
Cowboys.
running game, good defense.
Inclement weather, doesn't matter.
They do it
You can
all.
win football. You can win football games.
Well, let's talk about the Packers, shall we? They're number 9 in this week.